Stand, salute the flag, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, I received a letter from last meeting from Margarita Bickford on 119 Rockwall Road. Her concerns of the cell tower are fire safety and property values. So that's in the file. Next would be the approval of the minutes, last month's minutes. I think, what page is it on?
Oh, God.
What page?
Yeah, it's,
Okay, there's I spoke about that was too close or too
Here,
far.
here,
and
here
has
it
to be
is.
changed. Yeah, to the
Yeah, here it
residential.
is.
I wanted closer to the commercial.
okay.
Okay?
Page
Any other
65.
changes in the minutes?
Oh, yeah, and there's one other thing that, I think that Ron Gaynor meant to say something that he didn't. Ron Graff, he's not here. Okay, okay.
Okay. Make a motion that the minutes be approved. All
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Next order of business is Essex Green, Douglas Lane, Village. Let's see, the applicant seeks to obtain an area. Well, okay. A variance to setback, front yard and rear setbacks, due to comply with the table of communications. The property is in the RC zoning district. Guess you can handle it, Mr. I forgot your name.
Yes, Chairman, Mr. Dan Richmond.
Okay, you have to go to the microphone, please. Okay. I just was handed a letter. You have a copy for him? An extra copy for his son? Danverson, is that how you pronounce it? How do you pronounce your name again?
I'm Dan Richmond. and
Dan
Dean- Dan is- Dean
Okay.
Simmons.
Okay. This is set for public hearing. I just got this letter 5 minutes ago, just to me regarding this application. Dear Chairman and members, the office is in receipt of additional information provided today by the applicant's counsel. I guess that's you. Questions have been raised regarding the legality of the lot, along with some additional history of the current status. Because of its late arrival to this office, I am recommending the delay of the public hearing in order for the town's legal counsel to review and comment.
May I respond?
Sure.
I think the public hearing can certainly go forward as the chair determined at our last meeting. The matter of the code enforcement officer had already confirmed that the property was a legal non-conforming lot. We responded within a writing because we understand that the town planning board had asked your board to look at this issue. We don't think it's properly before this board, but to make the record absolutely clear, we did submit additional information, which I'd be happy to explain this evening. Although, again, the only thing that is right now before your board are the front yard and rear yard variances that we are ready to go forward with.
Correct, because I just submitted this information.
Yes.
So naturally, no one has had any chance to review it.
We just got alerted to the planning board made this determination last week,
Right.
apparently.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is, we really weren't looking at any area variance.
Right.
Right, so the only thing we could possibly speak to would be the front and rear yard setback.
I think that's correct.
Okay.
But again, I just think we were put in an awkward position.
Right.
Because again, the planning board, we understand, we still haven't seen the letter, but we understand the planning board sent a letter to your board,
Yes, they did.
asking your board. I don't,
It was
again,
something in regards to the property that was sold to Cold Spring. They don't know whether it was sold or whether it was eminent domain or something like that. I referred that to the building inspector.
right. I mean, again, we've addressed this in our letter. I think the issue is sort of a red herring, and I think the code enforcement officer determined this is a non-conforming lot, so this issue isn't on appeal before this board.
I spoke to him today, and his concern now, he's not sure whether this might need an area variance.
Well, if it's a non-conforming lot, it doesn't need an area variance.
Right. Well, there again, yeah, I know, you say that in your letter here, and you didn't put in for an area variance.
We don't need to. It's a non-conforming lot. Again, the building inspector's denial letter only said rear yard and side yard setback.
Correct.
Rear yard, front yard.
Okay, you can understand, if we hear it tonight, it certainly has to continue. There's no way I can close this tonight.
You can't close it because, I mean, I'm
Let me
just
speak
curious.
to my attorney.
Yeah, just a couple of things. We received a letter from the code enforcement officer indicating he received some materials that he'd like the opportunity to be heard on.
Okay.
The other item is apparently there was a referral made pursuant to Section 239, and they have 30 days to respond. The County
Sure.
of Putnam, apparently, the 30 days hasn't run. We haven't gotten their response yet. So given that, I think the appropriate course of action would be, to hear your presentation. The board could consider whatever other comments that there are. The meeting simply just won't be closed tonight. It'll be continued to the next November meeting, where hopefully, if there are any additional comments, the board will consider them and hopefully decide at that time.
Okay.
All right, I guess the issue is here is, if we, let's say we hear this tonight, I'm gonna ask the attorney this, if we were to hear this tonight, and, let's just say a vote was taken, and then it were issued a thing, you can't take a vote.
You can't vote tonight. So
Can't vote tonight. So we're only gonna hear testimony to front yard and rear
we'll
setback?
hear whatever testimony they want to present to us. You can open it to the public for whatever testimony the public wants to offer. We're just not going to decide it tonight, and so that's all understood. It's
Okay.
out on the table, so that's it.
Does that mean that if it's continued, that we're going to have to vote, we're going to have an open meeting again in a month?
Correct.
And people are going to be able to come up and testify again?
You got to go to the mic.
Correct.
So then we'll be doing the whole thing again in a month, anyway.
Well, I mean, hopefully it wouldn't be completely redundant testimony. If you have concerns, you're welcome to present whatever concerns you have tonight. If you have different concerns at the next meeting, you can do that.
I guess my point is, we're coming back anyway, we might as well just come back. You want to just go?
Now, you could choose, let's go through this. You could choose, instead of doing this tonight, you could choose to speak with the building inspector and whatever, and if he says you need an area variance, put it all together, and we could hear it at one hearing. That's up to you.
Well, again, I mean, I think we're only here on what he's appealed, what he
Okay.
again, we're only here on what he's denied right now. If I could have just a couple of minutes just to quickly talk to my client?
Right,
Just
and
one-
there's another thing here. I've read-
Sure.
You said that you're asking for like all variances, you know what I'm trying to say? So I know that you still have to go back to Nelsonville.
We don't need any variance. The Nelsonville building inspector has determined that since the house is located entirely in the town, the only thing he would need to do is issue a driveway permit.
I want to speak to your clients, I'll give you a few
Sure.
minutes. I'm sorry?
The Nelsonville building inspector is here.
Well, that's okay. He can, that's what he wants, what way he wants to spend this evening, God bless him. You understand what I'm trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that, what this gentleman said, that you here tonight, you're really not going to settle anything if you want to do it all together. That was my question.
If that's the chair's, is that the chair's preference?
I would feel better doing it that way myself, but I mean, you know.
Mr. Chair, if you prefer us to wait next month, can I ask, would we be heard first at the hearing, your next meeting? I understand you have a busy schedule next November.
At the 19th?
Yes.
13th, I'm sorry. So we're going to have a public hearing. Yes, I think if you put it all together, I think you have to speak to the building inspector, or building, because his letter tonight clearly states that he has some concerns, okay? My point was, if we go through tonight with the two items, the rear and the side setback, what have we accomplished if we need an area variance?
Then we'd, I mean, again,
Then we
I
have to go
don't-
back again with an area variance. Because I can't grant you an area, I'm not going to grant you an area variance tonight, because I don't have the information in front of me.
well, I think you're not going to be able to grant us anything tonight
Right.
because you're still waiting to hear from county planning.
Correct.
Yeah, I think the question simply was, if they're on for the November meeting, can they get on first on the
Yes,
agenda?
my answer would be yes.
Great, okay.
And I just have one more question.
Yes.
If it's an existing legal non-conforming lot, doesn't an area variance fall? in
Yes, we
that?
don't need an area variance.
That's what the attorney says. You don't need an area variance. So if that would, the building inspector agrees with him and like that, then we're set. Okay, so we're going to put this on for the 13th. Now, that meeting is going to be held at the Recreation Center, which is on Route 9D. I don't know if you know where it is.
Yes.
Okay, if you went 301 south a little bit, it's down there. Because of the crowd I expect to have for the public hearing. Okay, but we will hear it first.
Thank you
Okay?
very much.
And
Mr.
if I know you say you don't need an area variance, but if it comes to that, please include it in the application.
Okay, we will talk to your building inspector.
And the attorney.
And attorney, and return to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Good night.
Chair.
Yeah, that's not doing it all, do it all together.
Makes sense.
It'll be a long night, that's what I'm saying. I think we're gonna probably have to end up going on December meeting.
Yeah, you have to, yeah, normally they don't,
You know, I
but
can't see
technically, they have 30 days to issue a report. And if they don't issue a report and 30 days hasn't elapsed, you
Alright, the
can't
next-
legally act.
Item of business is, let's see, Route 9D. What is it? No, Route 9D, you're looking for.
1657 Route 90.
Route 9D, you're looking for a variance for garage size, correct?
That's correct. We have a, my name is Jason Snyder with Beatty and Watson, representing the applicant, Chris Buck, who I don't believe is here. We have an application filed with the planning board for a site plan approval, and we've been referred to the zoning board for a garage which exceeds the limit in the code of 1,000 square feet. The size of we have a proposed attached garage, approximately 34 feet by 64 feet, which is approximately 2,120 square feet, whereas 1,000 square feet is the maximum.
How big is the house? Square footage? Any idea roughly?
16,000 square feet.
I'm sorry?
15 to 16,000 square feet.
So the garage is bigger than the house?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The
Oh, 15,000?
15,000.
Oh, okay, that's a
Small.
big house.
So it's a four-car garage. It's a four-car attached garage. The back half is mostly buried.
It's, 95% buried.
So it's buried. It's not visible from the neighboring properties. It's in the middle of the 30, generally in the center of the 33-acre parcel. I believe the nearest house is 560 so over 500 feet, 500 feet away. The closest distance to the property line to the garage is 316 feet, which is to the Patterson lot to the east, south, north, southeast. So it's pretty centralized within the lot.
I guess the size of the house, garage doesn't look that big, 15,000 square foot house. And you have 33 acres.
Right.
Okay. I just want to go over the 5 factors with you that we're required to go over in order to consider this, and then I'll go to a public hearing. I guess what possible detriment would the variance have on the nearby properties, and how close the structures will be? I think you answered that question to the nearest house is, what, 500 feet? Your answer here is you're granting the variance will have no significant effect on neighboring properties because it's located in a 33-acre parcel, and except for the garage doors, will be mostly underground. Moreover, the structure will not be seen from any adjacent properties. It will not block any view. Any board members have any question on
I just
that?
like, how big are these garage doors? What's the dimensions?
They're probably 9 feet wide, 8 feet tall. And the building's bermed under, it's got a berm over the whole thing, so the only wall you.
Can you step up to the mic,
Sure.
please, so I can?
The
Tim
only wall
Moore,
you'll actually see is the wall that the garage doors are on, and that's facing a interior courtyard. And
What I'm saying, you're saying you'll only see the garage doors. I want to know
That's
how
it.
big the doors are.
they're probably 9 feet by 8 feet or 9 feet by 10 feet. It's not totally determined yet. But, I mean, they're pretty much an average garage door size. They're 4 doors.
Okay. Question 2, if you didn't get the variance, how else could you build what you want to accomplish? So,
we'd have to build multiple structures.
or a smaller garage.
We'd have to build multiple smaller garages,
Multiple
which would
smaller
be,
garages. Yeah, so
which wouldn't really be,
wouldn't fit
No.
in with the scope of the house.
Right.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay. Let's see, number 3 here. What code requirement are you seek to vary? You're looking for section 175-10D, which is, you look for 120% variance from the 1,000 square feet. The code calls for a 1,000 square foot garage. You're looking for 2,120, which comes to 120 square feet. 120%. Bit larger than the code states now. Anybody have any questions on that? No other question? Okay. What impact or effect will a variance have on the current physical and environmental conditions in the area? Is the grading for blasting proposed? Are you going to do any blasting on this?
I don't believe there's blasting.
There may be some, just because there's a rock ledge that's coming.
No, step up again, please.
There may be some because there's a rock ledge, which is actually what we're extending it under to the rock ledge to bury it.
So there may be some blasting at
There's
that.
some blasting, but there's going to be some anyway, just to deal with the addition.
All right, so are you going to be required for a permit for that, right?
Yes.
Blasting
obviously,
permit for that
obviously.
before that continues,
Right.
okay. Let's see, the variance allow the appellant the opportunity to renovate a long neglected estate and improve it with addition to the existing building that will serve the occupants well. There will be significant grading on the site, but most of it will be associated with the overall landscape of the property, including the garage, and subject to variance. Most of the disturbance will occur regardless of whether the variance is granted. As previously stated, the applicant is forced into building 2 garages. The disturbance is likely to increase. Okay. Any questions? Anybody have on that?
I have only one question.
Sure.
What is the garage being used for?
Uh,
And why
car-
does it have to be so big?
It's being used for parking cars.
Storage of cars? How many cars will be in this garage, I guess, would be the question.
4.
4-car garage.
Yeah. So one's really a work bay, for his personal car, but the other, they're all personal cars.
All personal cars.
Yeah. It's not.
There's a lot of
it's not
property, so,
Right.
there's maintenance vehicles and,
Right, I think there's like a chicken coop in the barn
That's
there
on
or
the-
something
that's
like
on
that,
the
right?
other-
I
that's on
looked at the
other side.
property.
So that's more of a barn for like farm equipment, but the garage we're talking about, it's really for family use,
Right.
go-karts.
Where's the house going to be located there? I mean,
It's the
in
old
relation
Patterson- it's the
to,
old Patterson house.
yes,
So the garage is off to the side of it, so you wouldn't see it from the river, and you won't see it as you approach because it's going to be buried in the ground.
Okay.
So right now, the current driveway runs like that, so we're cutting a new driveway. The garage is behind a berm there.
Right, right.
So the only view is from this direction, from the woods,
From the river.
from the river. So I mean, you're just not,
Right.
nobody's going to see it
Okay, thank you.
unless they have a drone.
Is there gonna be water and heat in this garage?
There's going to be temporary heat. I mean, he can heat the work bay if he wants to, but it's not going to be a conditioned garage.
Water? Is there gonna be water in
It'll
it?
probably have water, yeah. At least, probably a sink that's
Sink.
probably seasonal. So you can wash cars or whatever.
All right, fifth question, is a variance requested as a result of a self-created hardship? And was there a need for the variance when you purchased the property? How long ago did you purchase the property? Did you build a structure without a permit? But that doesn't apply. The variance is self-created. The need for the variance was not existent when the property was purchased. The need only arose as a result of the design for which all permits are being sought. There has been no building without a permit. The need for the variance is the result of an error. Want to explain that? Error?
Error?
You said the result of an error. I guess
The
probably.
need for
Glenn
the
Watson
variance
did
is
that.
not, the need for the variance is not the result of an error.
Not the result of an error. Okay. Oh, yeah, I read it wrong. You're right. So I guess this still has to go back to the planning board.
Correct.
You're right.
Right. I just spotted that 1,000 square foot thing, and the planning board actually didn't realize it was there.
Okay. So it's got to go back to them.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Are there any questions from the audience regarding this application? See, I guess, got nobody complain, that's quite unusual. Okay, is there any questions of the board? No, at this time I'd ask for a motion on granting the exception for the 2,000 square foot garage over the 1,000 foot code.
I so move.
Second? Second? All in favor of granting this? What it is, we're granting, it's 1,000, the code is 1,000 square feet, and we're going to allow him to build a garage 2,120 square feet, which is 120% variance. But the house is 15,000 square feet. It's not, it's not my house. So it's-
I mean, if I may
Sure.
continue to speak, the lot is 33 acres,
33 acres, right.
and this is in the RC, the Rural Conservation District,
Right,
which is, I believe, 10 acres.
yes.
So I mean, it's, I believe that the scope of the structure that we're dealing with is within the spirit of the code
Okay.
and
So-
what the code is trying to accomplish.
It's in favor, yes or no? Yes?
I'll vote in favor.
Yes. Favor?
Yes.
And I vote in favor. Okay, so it's unanimous vote.
Thank you.
So now you can go back to the planning board.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just invite me when you build that 15,000 square foot house. I'd like to take a look. Imagine if this, all right. Next order of business is a special permit amendment for front yard setback and the zoning code for temporary communications tower at 22 Sky Lane. Mrs. Snyder, or Miss Snyder?
Good evening, Honorable Chairman and members of the Zoning Board. My name is Leslie Snyder. I'm a partner in the law firm of Snyder & Snyder. And I'm here tonight on behalf of New York SMSA Limited Partnership, which does business as Verizon Wireless. Sorry. Oh, thank you. Verizon Wireless is requesting a temporary facility. As you recall, back in 2015, you granted a special permit to Verizon Wireless to place antennas on the existing tower at the property. Due to a change in regulations, the tower needs to be replaced. So they're asking for this temporary facility until the tower is replaced. So it is temporary in nature. Since our last meeting, the application was sent to the Putnam County Planning Board pursuant to 239M of the General Municipal Law, and I'm pleased to say that the Putnam County Planning Board recommended approval of the temporary facility. We also submitted the additional documentation you requested by cover letter dated September 22nd, and that included the long form, environmental assessment form.
Okay. And I see that you also included the variance for the road frontage.
Yes, we did that on the application as well.
Okay, so basically it's, how long are you looking for temporary, I guess? Because the last time was
well-
2 years and, you didn't get it done then.
Right. Well, we are contingent on getting the existing tower replaced. So the existing tower needs to be replaced. We are hoping that that will be accomplished. They will have to go through the necessary approvals to do that. So we would ask that this board consider giving us 2 years, and we're hoping before that the tower will be replaced, and then we will immediately apply for a building permit to get right onto that tower.
Okay, any questions from board members?
No, she answered it for me.
Yeah, any questions? Any questions? No? Any questions? I guess 2 years sounds reasonable, I don't, but you'd have to go back here if they don't,
Correct.
erect a new
Hopefully.
tower. Like, they said, in speaking to them at a pre-app meeting, they said they could do it in like 6 weeks or something like that. I mean, I don't know how
Right.
they
I don't
plan to
think,
do it.
with the
Yeah.
logistics of all the things that they need to do,
Right.
it seems that that's been taking a long time. And that's why we're here tonight. So we're anxious to get our service and provide the necessary service. And then, obviously, as soon as the tower is built, we'll be happy to move on to that
Okay, so
tower
that-
in accordance with our permit.
Okay,
Question for the board.
go ahead.
Do we need a bond to ensure that they take it down? Remember how we always ask for bonds?
Yeah, but they're not, theirs is a
But
temporary.
that's
It's on
what I
a
mean, to
truck.
make sure they take it, okay.
It's on a truck, correct?
Correct.
On the back of a flat.
Correct. It will be affixed to the ground. We'll put a bond up if you like. We don't have any objection to that, if that's necessary, or we'll give you an agreement that we'll take it down in accordance with once the new tower is up.
Yeah, that's right.
And we relocate.
A bond to say you're taking it down. Yeah.
We don't have any objection to that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that would be part of the resolution.
Right. We'll provide, just a removal bond that we will remove the facility once the new tower is up and we're co-located on it.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak to this regarding this 22 Sky Lane? Okay. Are there any other questions from the board on this? Okay. Yes. Can you speak, can you stand up, please, and go up to the microphone, identify yourself, so I know who you are?
My name is Jerry Drogan. I live on Lane Gate. Where is this location that we're talking about?
This is 22 Sky Lane in Continental Village.
Where I'm sorry?
22 Sky Lane in Continental Village, in Garrison.
Oh, in Garrison.
Correct.
Right near the HUD tower.
Right near?
WHUD.
That's been there since 57, WHUD Tower, and this would be right next to it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, this time I ask for a motion on the,
I'll make the motion.
go ahead.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Mrs. Sistone, how you vote on this?
I vote in favor.
In favor.
I approve.
I vote in favor also.
And I'm assuming that will include the negative declaration as well.
Yes,
Okay.
and I approve also, so that's unanimous. And what the resolution is going to put in there about the bond?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
let's just make sure that conditions are that in 2 years it's out of use and it comes down.
Do we put a time limit on it?
I'm going to stand up to the microphone. The question was conditions.
Yes. What I'd like to do is just put in, I have no objection to the 2 years, and just if that time the replacement tower is not built, we will have to come back to this board for any other necessary approval. We understand we're under a 2-year time frame, and we're hopeful that we'll be on the new tower within that time frame.
So we can word it that if the tower is built, then You'll remove the old.
As
the
soon as we
temporary
can get permits to get onto that tower, we will, and are co-located on the tower, we will take this down. We want to be able to deploy this somewhere else, so we are anxious to do that.
Okay.
All right, thank you. It's unanimous, that's approved.
Next order of business is,
Homeland Towers at 50 Vineyard Road.
Good evening, Mr.
Good
Chairman
evening,
and members of the
Mr.
board.
Gordioso.
Robert Gordioso on behalf of the applicants.
Okay, I got your letter, your new letter. So I guess it probably, what I'm looking for tonight is to try and go over what we need to vote on the application as complete. So we could set up a, I have a temporary, tentative date set up of November 13th.
Great.
Okay, but let's see if we can do that tonight. In your letter, you state, first thing I guess basically said is the town landfill site. Now, I know Mr. Gaynor has looked at the site. He feels he's found a location and it's possible to be used as a cell tower location.
So what I would suggest,
Sure.
if it would be all possible, we'd love to have the opportunity maybe this week, meet Mr. Gaynor out at the site, see the location he picked, and then we could have the engineers take a look at it, just to make sure that we're all on the same page of exactly where we're talking about.
Mr. Gaynor? Fine with that?
So
Okay,
we'll
great.
coordinate directly with Mr. Gaynor this week to get out there.
Okay.
We're available every day.
All right, whatever your decision is, if you could, have it to me by public hearing,
Sure.
to see, so we know where we're standing with that. Now, it's not here, but the other site I was looking at was McKeel Corners, which is
Sure.
off Gray Rock Road. Now, I took a look at that. There is an existing tower. It's only 110 feet.
Correct.
I think it was last month's meeting, we discussed this, and I believe you told us that you didn't apply for it because the town said you knew the town wouldn't give it to you.
No, I
The
think
extension, but we're the town, so.
I think what we said was that even with a variance, it wouldn't work
Why?
because it wasn't high enough, even with the variance above 110 feet. I think we looked at, I think it was 120 or 130 feet, actually. That
How
we
would
looked at.
180 feet do?
Well, we can, if you want us to look at 180 feet, we'll certainly look
Sure.
at 180 feet.
I'd like you to look at the McKeel Corners for 180 feet.
Okay.
Because that would be the same size tower that you're looking at now, because you're gonna have to take down, abandon McKeel's Corners, am I correct?
Well,
Because the other one, if you put this proposed one up in Vineyard, you'd have to cancel that because the signals would.
Correct.
interfere.
Verizon Wireless's proposal was to relocate from that tower to the new tower.
Right,
Correct.
right.
But
So,
we could look at 180 feet. I don't have any objection to that.
yeah, if you could give me a report on that too.
Sure.
At the public hearing. Okay, great. Next is
Well, I
North.
think just to,
Go ahead.
be clear at McKeel Corner, I think information that would be useful to the board is what height would provide the service that you claim to need at that location.
So we can look at it, up to a certain point. There comes a point where it's too tall. There comes a point where it needs FAA lighting, which is generally around 200 feet. So there's a point where we can show on maps that, whatever the particular height is, that doesn't work. I don't think we'll ever get to a realistic height that would work, but we'll certainly put that in a report.
North Highlands Fire Company. Now, I see that you met all the fire department requirements.
Correct.
I saw by the site plan. You extended the road, you widened the road, you widened the parking area, and the road's going to be specified HS20 loading.
Correct.
To support the gross weight of the fire engines, and a 15-foot clear area maintained around a compound shed. And as far as the communications, I spoke with the fire chief, and he sent me an email that you guys have kind of worked out the communications end of this letter.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think he also mentioned in his letter that
Yes, he did.
his existing site at the landfill was not adequate, and he preferred the proposed site.
Correct. On your site plan here, you have a lighting detail and notes
Correct.
have been added to ZD8 and page ZD4. what lighting are we talking about here?
There's just one small light in the compound, 100-watt downward-facing light, so that if someone had to go out there in an emergency, they could turn a light on under OSHA standards and be able to have light to be able to go out there. And we would put it on a timer. That's what the note says. We'd put it on a timer so that it wouldn't stay on if someone wasn't there. They would have to put the light on, and it would run out after a certain period of time.
Oh, that would be the only light?
Correct.
Okay.
And we had previously submitted an FAA report, no lighting or marking on the tower.
The visual resource assessment. Based on a testimony of the town's radio frequency consultant, Ronald Graff, the proposed coverage could be sufficient at 150 feet above the ground level, even though the height limit is 195 under the zoning code. Homeland Towers is willing to conduct another balloon test at 150 feet above ground level to further evaluate the potential visibility of the facility. So I guess what I appreciate you want to give us another balloon test, because the first one was, there were some issues with it. But I think we'd like to wait till after the end of October, you know, I'm trying to say at least till most of the leaves fell down, you know, so we can get a good idea.
So let me offer this as well as maybe
Sure.
an alternative. The problem with the balloon test is it's somewhat of an antiquated process. Before advanced computer modeling, doing the balloon was really the only way to get an accurate location of what the height of the tower and what the location of the tower. With the balloon, particularly in a heavily wooded area, which this is, it's very difficult to get a balloon up, to stay up, to be able to take photographs. What we could do in the alternative is take all the photographs, you know, that we previously rendered them and re-render them at the 150-foot mark. We're able to do that with the computer modeling and be able to show you, I think, more accurately what it would look like at 150 feet.
Well, I think you opened yourself because you said that you would be willing to collect the balloon, you know, to do the balloon test.
Well, we had gotten asked that question at the last meeting, and,
Right.
and we said we'd offer it.
You're willing to do it, I guess.
We're willing to do it, and with the caveat that it does have that problem that it tends to sometimes give misleading results
Right.
if it moves at any particular time. So that's why I'm offering as an alternative what we think is a more accurate way to do it.
I understand, but people like to see and feel things. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like anyone, you go to the store, you want to see what you're buying, you want to pick it up. So I think I appreciate your offer of second balloon test. I think we're going to take you up on it. I'd like to do it pretty much at the end of the month, even the beginning of November. Okay. I guess you could work out a date with Mr. Gaynor. You could, let us know.
We could certainly do that.
And we'll put it on the town website, and we'll call a few people in the neighborhood in the area to let them know exactly what time and so on. Is there any chance, I don't know, using a bigger balloon? Yes, is a question.
No, the big, it's a pretty wide balloon. It's a 3-foot diameter balloon. It's not a matter of a bigger balloon. It's a matter of that
Yeah.
it gets caught up in the trees, and it has
Right.
it has a line on it. It has a tether, and if you get a wind, and it blows a little bit, and sometimes the tether gets caught in the trees, and sometimes the balloon itself. Actually, the bigger balloon would probably be more susceptible to the wind and getting blown down or blown sideways. So
Well, how wide would let's say the Verizon, did Verizon sell the combination of the equipment around it?
It's from antenna to antenna. It's about 10 or 12 feet on a triangle. So
Right.
the 3-foot balloon again is to give you the height and the location. Again, with the caveat that if there's a little bit of wind, even it tends to blow around a bit.
Okay. Now you use a figure of 150 feet. Are you willing to lower that from 195 to 150? Is that what you're saying?
The code is 195. We had proposed 180.
Right.
We believe 180 is reasonable. We believe it's reasonably necessary. Mr. Gaynor gave testimony that he thought 150 would be satisfactory. We're willing to continue to build the record at the different height. If the height at 150 is a significant difference aesthetically, we'd certainly consider modifying the application to reduce it to 150.
Okay. Let's see. The application was initially filed. Oh, now do the code responses. The application was initially filed on May 23rd, 2017. The town issued comments by way of the town engineer's technical memorandum dated June 9th and received by the applicant on June 12th, thereby tolling the federal shot clock after 20 days. At present, the shot clock is set to expire on January 5th, 2018. Please let us know if the town disagrees with this calculation. Well, I'm going to have to refer that to our attorney.
Yeah.
And explain the shot clock thing after what happens, what they could be done. I know they can go to court and get a order pretty much right away.
Yeah, that's something that we could comment further at the next meeting. They're just talking about a guidepost in terms of when the thing would need to be decided. It doesn't mean if it's, we can agree to disagree as to that, but I don't think it's an issue that we need to visit right now at this meeting. I think we should just proceed to scheduling this thing for a public hearing, and if and when that date approaches, then we could talk about it further.
Okay, at this time, I guess we'll make a motion. I'd like to get a motion that the application is complete. Go ahead.
I just want to.
Sure, go ahead.
I added something to the record. I had received an index of peer-reviewed scientific studies on the effects of wireless radiation on human health. And it's an index with references how to get to these articles on the internet. So I just wanted to put it in for the record. It is on the FCC docket as well. There's an open notice of inquiry on it. So I guess it's an open question whether they would consider it. And I believe you have a copy, right?
No, I do not.
Oh, okay. Oh,
And if I could also have a copy, I know there was a mention of a letter earlier. I think it was a Miss Margarita. I don't know if I heard that name right. If I could have a
Yes.
copy of that letter as well.
okay. And our secretary had made some extra copies
Great,
as well.
thank you.
So if other people want copies,
Thank you.
they
And
can also.
thank you very much. And I don't know if there was a 239M referral back from the county yet.
Yes, there was.
Great. If I could have a copy of that as well. Yeah. It was referred out to them, though? That was referred?
Yeah,
Great.
well-
Okay, thank you.
We should have that by the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, just to be clear, Ron Gaynor, town engineer.
So the TV audience could
The
hear.
applicant has offered to conduct another balloon test at 150 feet. I would suggest that the board also request, since he's offered it, the photo simulations as well, just to have that for the record. Because as he says, sometimes the balloon gives misleading data, and it'd be good to have the simulations in the record as well.
Okay. You agreeable to you? Mr. Nicholson?
We can redo some of the prior viewpoints that we did, and we could also take some additional photographs. And what I won't do is I won't render if we take photographs and they don't provide value. What we would do then is render some of the original photographs that we had. So we'll try and pick and choose ones that I think are from the locations that have been of the most concern and that we have the best data on, and provide renderings from those spots, if that makes
Yeah, okay,
sense.
Mr. Skinner? Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay. This time I'd like to, if I could ask for a motion that the application is complete. Then make a motion to second it?
I'll second.
Second. All right, with a roll call vote, Mr. Stone, on the application being complete?
I'm going to say that it's not complete, in my opinion, because I've asked multiple times for examples of other technologies like distributed antenna systems, microcells, that would eliminate the need for this tower. And everybody says, yes, 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 and I have yet to see anything.
That's actually in our report from Mr. Feehan that we submitted. And if you remember, Mr. Grafe went to comment on that, and he was cut off at the last meeting. So we did actually submit that. It's covered in our report.
Could you indicate? Could you tell us what's in that report rather than us having
Sure.
to
It
search?
basically says that it's not feasible. These types of systems are to cover very
I
small
wanna see the
areas.
engineering, why it's not
Yeah.
feasible.
It's in the
Yeah.
engineering report, and it
Well-
does give a full explanation of it. And I think your consultant was ready to
I think it's just more expensive and you
give
don't
an
want to pay
opinion.
for it.
No, I don't think that's a fair comment, because I don't think that's accurate. But it's in the report. It's in the Feehan report.
Yeah, I think I would like a little more detail on it. I guess we could. I guess could we have that in the public hearing?
Well, we can start the public hearing, but I won't say it's complete until I get some analysis of this that I can look at.
Right. Right, and actually, I would hope that you would not just say it's in the report, but actually refer us to the actual data that's in the report and maybe read it out so we can
I'll take the
understand
time.
it.
We can take the time to do that right now if you like. I mean, I don't have a problem. I know.
Yeah,
Mr.
why don't we do that?
Mr. Grape was actually ready to discuss it at the last meeting.
Is that
Well,
okay?
And the answer was
Let's
to
say,
hold it to the public hearing. So.
Is that okay?
Make a Mr. Grafe now or no?
Well,
Might as well.
my suggestion would be, I mean, this is a topic that can be discussed in further detail at the public hearing. You could certainly inquire right now as you're doing. I don't think this should hold up the review for completeness and scheduling it for the public hearing next month. I mean, it's not like the issue won't be addressed or can't be addressed, or you can't be heard, the public can't be heard, the applicant can't be heard.
I just don't want to have it poo-pooed. I want to see the engineering and have our RF engineer look at it and verify what they're saying.
Well, just to throw it out to our engineering consultant is, what's your thought on this?
Well, again, I'm not the technical expert in the RF field, so you'd have to have that data reviewed in more detail or a separate report for your benefit.
I would like to see that, because these people shouldn't have to suffer if there's other technologies that can do the same thing without putting a massive pole in someone's backyard.
Okay, can we put that on, I guess, the first item to speak at the public hearing for you?
Sure.
Okay, so we can handle that. Would that be satisfying? Would that be,
Yeah.
sounds good, yeah?
I-
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I approve. To
You approve that
to go to the
the
public, I
application
think
is
it's
complete?
complete, yeah.
Yes, I approve as well.
Well, we're voting on whether the application is complete or not, and,
Satisfied with that?
to set it for public hearing. You vote to approve the application complete?
Yes.
You
the
vote to approve?
application is
You
complete.
vote to approve?
Yes.
Okay. The application is complete. It'll be set up for public hearing November 13th. Okay, now, November 13th, it's going to be at the Recreation Center, which is at 107 Glen Cliff Road, Route 9D. That's Route, a little bit south of 301. It's going to be a combined hearing, It's going to be two boards there, going to be Conservation Board and the Zoning Board. So I've already agreed to have the hearing first of the one from Nelsonville. So it's going to be 14 people. It's going to be a long meeting. We may not get the public hearing completed that night. It's a possibility, okay? We usually don't meet in December, okay? But in this case, what I'm going to probably do is look down the road, is ask the board to meet in December. And if it comes to that point, because I don't want to delay it, a decision any longer. I don't want to have it where we don't meet in December, then we go to January, we start running into issue dates of, stop the clock, that type of thing. So that's where I'm going
Okay, thank you.
with this, okay?
And on the public notice, again, can I just coordinate with Mr. Gaynor on the notice that we need to send out and who we need to send it out to as well? I'm assuming that's how the process works for the notice.
Right, okay.
Great.
Thank you. Now, as far as all business, there's an issue with, it's fine, you're fine.
Thank you.
You can sit down.
We're all done?
You're all
Great.
done, you're good.
Thank you for your time this evening.
Escape way, go where you're headed. Okay,
Excuse me, is there any
What?
opportunity for a public comment? Because
a
initially.
few seconds.
Thank you.
Relax.
Before they leave, because I do want to ask a question. Thank you.
Sure. There's going to be a public hearing. Okay, there might be two public hearings, okay? So everybody will get a chance.
An alternate site, and that's the question.
Okay. Any new information, I'll be gladly hear, okay? The RF engineer, Ronald Graff, an issue came up where we felt that there may be a conflict of interest, Mr. Graff. So at this time, I'm asking for a motion to terminate the services of Mr. Graff.
I'll make a motion.
Can I have a second on
I'll
it?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, roll call, aye, unanimous, okay. And Ron, I have his final invoice. Could you make sure that that's taken care of, or he's paid?
I'll just tug it downstairs and make sure it's processed.
Okay, thank you. And will you look for another new RF engineer, I guess, okay? Because if we do end up with alternate sites, we're going to need somebody. All right, thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Joe Larice, and I live off of Lane Gate Road on Oak Hill Drive. And I just, when we first heard about the Homeland giving their presentation, you mentioned something about an alternate site. In particular, you mentioned the landfill site. My question is, who initiated that alternate site even as, a possible alternative?
The board did.
Okay. And what communication was there between Homeland, and I respectfully request that we understand what that communication was. Is there a letter that they had written to you or you wrote to them?
In regards to what? I'm sorry.
The alternate site being possibly
We
the
discussed the
landfill.
alternate site. Any board, anytime a cell tower comes up,
Right.
okay, the board also has to look at alternate sites. The reason
course.
being that, in this one here, particular one here, it's 152 feet from a residential home.
Right.
Okay, so, and it's only 150 feet allowed, so they got 2 feet to spare. So it's possible that there's another alternate site in the area
Right.
that may be better for the community.
I'm just wondering what the manner of communication was between Homeland and the board. Was it written? Was it something that was discussed?
Oh, yes, there's a lot of things written in the minutes. You could go online and get
And
all
which
minutes.
meeting was that, sir? Was it?
Oh, it would be June, July, September.
And with those three meetings, the landfill site was also one of the things that were considered as an alternate site?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, that's my concern.
Okay, no problem.
Because, we don't want to pit neighbor against neighbor. We agree with the Mr. Costone. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right, but I think the board and the town in general should truly look at alternate means of getting this service.
Well, that's what we've done. That's what Mrs. Stone suggested.
thank
We're
you.
looking at, we're suggesting McKeel Corners to be, that to be heightened and all
Right.
that. So there are a number of things.
And also, I heard, and again, I wasn't quite clear, there's going to be a meeting with Homeland and Mr. Gaynor, the engineer, regarding the landfill site, or no?
Oh, yes, to see if they're going to take a look at it to see if this site is for them. It would be for technical reasons, to see is it possible.
And what manner of communication was that presented between Homeland and Mr. Gaynor? Was that at one of the last meetings? It's just funny, though, because I was on an email blast from 3 years
If you had
ago.
attended the meetings, I'm just
Okay.
saying, if you had attended the meetings, you would have heard it.
Well, 3 years ago, the landfill site was also considered for Homeland Towers building a site.
Correct.
And I was supposed to be on an email blast regarding that. I just find it interesting that the only way I knew that the landfill site was now being reconsidered was in some comments that were in the local newspaper alleged to Mr. Shea, our supervisor. That's the only way I knew about a possible alternate site. So I'm sorry I haven't been up to everything that's going on here.
Right.
I'm just wondering at what point they are going to meet and what input people of Langate Road could possibly, present to you.
Sure, let me explain it to you. They're going to look at that as an alternative site.
Okay.
They're going to look at McKeel's Corners as an alternative site.
Okay.
If Homeland Towers decided that McKeel's Corners or the town landfill might be a better option for them, okay? Then we would proceed with that. Then the people in Lane Gate Road, let's say we went to the town landfill, they would be notified, and we would go through the same thing as we're going through here for the last 3 months.
Sure.
I'm not looking to do that. I'm just trying to say that that would be the process.
Okay.
Okay, so there'd be nobody going to sneak it up on you
No,
and put
well,
it in tomorrow
again,
morning. I can guarantee you that.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Yes, sir.
I saw there was a map there. I saw that there was a map that's been taken away. Rockledge?
I'm sorry?
Is that another site that's being looked at?
No. No.
It is, you're sure, because we've been represented.
I'm sure. I'm looking at it,
Oh.
there's only 2 other sites. One is McKeel's Corners that may be considered, and the town landfill.
The landfill is on, the what?
I'm sorry? Well, Nelsonville, that's Nelsonville. That's another town. I'm not involved in Nelsonville.
I'm confused.
Okay, what is your question then? I'm sorry.
Right off of Moffett, near the cemetery.
Oh, that's Nelsonville. That's being handled by Nelsonville zoning and planning.
Oh, so that has nothing to do with this town?
Nothing. I have enough to do. I'm not looking for that cell tower, believe me. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Priscilla Eldridge, 100 Rockwold Road. I have a question regarding the Saratoga report very quickly.
Yes.
In it, it said there was no adverse visual impact, and Mr. Gaudioso said it was a legal term. I went through the report, but there is nowhere in the report that defines where this information came from, what standard they were using to define adverse visual impact. I would like, just in prep for the public hearing, to have that standard so that we could independently look at it ourselves or with our counsel. And so I was hoping that someone would be able to provide us with what the legal standard, which he indicated in the last meeting, of adverse visual impact was.
Mr. Gaudioso, would you care to answer that question? What actual standard?
Well, the standard comes from the secret regulations, and that's a fairly common document. 617.4, I believe, is the NYCRR citation to it. As far as how that's defined, you have to really look at case law, and as I detailed last time, the DEC actually has out a technical document that talks about when something is a significant adverse aesthetic impact or not, and it has to do with that mere visibility is not in and of itself an adverse impact. Even startling visibility, according to the DEC, is not a significant adverse visual impact. So that is actually quoted, I believe, in the Saratoga report, and the quotation is right to the DEC technical document. So that's in the Saratoga report.
So she would be able to find that in DEC, and go on DEC online and find out what.
Absolutely. And it's cited in the report.
Okay.
And my second question is a comment regarding the next balloon test, since none of the homes on Rockwald were balloon tested or photographed for a balloon test. And
No, there was a couple of photographs taken on Rockwall, I believe.
just on the road.
On the
none-
road, correct,
None from
right.
the houses, and the houses are all above where the photograph was taken on Rockwald Road, including my own, and several others within visual distance of it. So I would hope that when they said that they would be willing to revisit the places, that rather than just going back to the places, that they would add all of the homes on Rockwald, which are quite
Well,
close.
I wouldn't expect them to take pictures of all the homes, I mean, that would be a little excessive. But I was sure he would gladly take a picture of one home on Rockwell. I'll ask Mr. Gosso.
If someone would like to maybe contact Mr. Gaynor with the address and the contact information, pass it along to us and provide consent that we can come on the property,
Yeah, but
we'd
there
be
are
happy to do that.
three close homes. I would.
Okay, all right, you can speak with Mr. Gaynor, okay?
Very
And
good.
at the meeting, and he'll
Thank you.
set it up with you. We'll make sure this photo's taken graphs. Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Steve Sterling. I live on Langate Road also. Pardon me. I want to thank you all for continuing to be such good listeners as this long process goes on. 3 years ago, I too came into a number of meetings back to back, excuse me, and talked about the distributed antenna system, the DAS. And that was sort of, poo-pooed at the time as being very expensive. And I think we have to remember that this good gentleman's job is to install cell towers. His job is not to look out for the community. His job is not to look out for the aesthetics of our community. He's got one job, which he appears to do very well. I would really implore you to look at this distributed antenna system. And it's used in Europe. That's why they have such great cell service. More and more communities throughout America right now are moving to that. And it's a tough fight. It's a really tough fight. The thing we have to remember is, once these people put in a monopole, right, it has limitless earning power for them. They can put one on Rockledge that's going to go all the way across the river. These things they're in the distribution business. They're not in the aesthetics business. You can now see on 301, if you look between the town and Route 9D, you'll see where the Central Hudson transformers are. Out of the transformer on an arm is a small box. They're using DAS to monitor their own transformers. It's very straightforward. He can say it's expensive, and it's certainly not free, but the limit that motivates them to go with the tower is that once they have a tower up, they can load stuff on that forever. Right. And we're all stuck with these towers, and your legacies are part of that as well. And I also want to make the comment that I think it would be very interesting to find somebody who's much more an expert in DAS. We can't expect this good gentleman to be informing us about something that doesn't serve his clients and business well. And if we have to come up with some means of hiring a consultant specifically in that area, because you're starting to see more and more communities go with DAS and say it's a very effective means of cellular communications. Lastly, I'm very curious about, and you don't have to get into it now, and I'll do a little homework on myself, is it seems like the excessive use of resources for these 5,600 square foot compounds, and radiation or not, we're going to find out. Somebody would say if cell phones were dangerous 30 years later, we'd probably know a lot more about whether they are or not. Towers the same. But the point is that when you look at the resources that are put into building these compounds, and all the heating and all the transfer equipment that has to go in there and all the heat's generated off, that has to be part of the equation that we weigh in for the aesthetics and care and nurturing of our community. My lasting point is, can we find somebody who can really advise us on DAS and maybe even better inform these good folks that that's actually an alternative that this community would prefer because it's more aesthetic, it's more resource efficient, and it's going to be better for all of us for decades and generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cardoso?
Yeah,
I know you...
Just briefly, just want to clarify the record. I never said that it was more expensive or too expensive. I never made that statement. I just want to clarify that.
Well, you've agreed to give us a report on
I
that.
agreed that we already gave you a report, and it's in the report.
Well,
It's
you're
from
gonna
a
give us a
technical
little more
standpoint,
detailed
and
report.
we can certainly expand on that. And I also included, when we submitted the report, the federal court case from this district at the highest level from this district that specifically states that it's preempted as far as that type of analysis, as far as alternative technology.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that. I'm preempted?
Yes, on the
Tell me
issue
again.
of alternative technologies, there's a federal court case. I'll defer to your counsel to provide you any opinion on that, but we did include it in our cover letter. It's New York SMSA et al. Versus the town of Clarkstown, and we cited to it in our letter. And then the only other point is that the closest residence 760 feet away, not 152. Just wanted to.
Well, I saw in the site plan it says 152.
No, it's 760 feet is the
Let's
closest
take a look.
residence.
I
The
could be-
closest
I
the
could be
closest
mistaken.
property line is 180 some odd feet. I believe it's 182 or 185.
I could be wrong. That's possible. I just want to take another look. I'm looking at the page ZD3. Okay. And it's not from the pole. I guess it's from the site.
The pole's 100. So first of all, the closest residence, I mean the actual
185.
the 185. Correct.
All right, and but the facility is 152.
The fence is 152.
Well, where the facility's going to be, where the sheds
and
are going
that's
to
to
be.
the that's to the property line. The closest residence, as we had in the Saratoga report, was 760 feet. We'll split the difference. Thank you for your time this evening.
Okay. Well, you have to stand up here. You're going to have to stand up here and identify yourself. Like I say, there is going to be a public hearing, and if it goes long, you know, I'm like Cinderella. Excuse me.
Okay.
There is going to be a public hearing. It goes long. I'm like Cinderella. I fold at midnight. So it'll be to the next month. It'll be to December. There may be two public
Okay.
hearings in this. But go
No,
ahead.
I'm Bruce Donahue. I live on Langate Road too, right across from the dump.
Yes.
And when you're talking about the 152 feet or the 760 feet, is that the Langate site?
No. This is all Vineyard Road.
Okay,
Vineyard
because
Road.
a little confusion about what you were talking about.
No, it probably was my fault.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Hi. My name is Shar White. I live on Lane Gate, actually right across from the dump.
Okay.
My question is, in the visual rendering that these gentlemen can do, is it possible to include a comparison of the height of the Statue of Liberty? Statue of Liberty is
What?
Statue. Or just bear with me.
Okay.
Okay. I looked up.
It's getting confusing.
No,
but
no,
go
I know, I
ahead.
know. I was just curious how high things were, right? So I looked them up. Statue of Liberty, from the skirt to the torch, is 151 feet tall. That doesn't include the base. So in your rendering, it would be really great if you could drop a little Statue of Liberty and then your tower so we can all see how much higher your tower is than the Statue of Liberty. Is that possible?
I'm really not going to ask for that.
No?
I don't see, I understand what you're trying to say, but,
I just want perspective on how high is.
Well-
and I don't think a balloon test is going to do it.
well, yeah, we don't have really any other means of.
83 stories? Oh, okay. All right.
You know, the balloon test is basically
Yeah.
all we got.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
But can we place like a brontosaurus and then like the Empire State Building and then
Brontosaurus.
the Statue of Liberty so we can see how much higher or shorter than these objects this tower on Lane Gate would be?
I don't really think I'm going to ask for that.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll save the rest for the public hearing, but I
yes,
just wanted
yeah.
to know if
That would be good.
Okay. Again, Statue of Liberty is 151 feet tall from the skirt to the torch.
I have a wall
Okay.
of 750 feet, so I have an idea how
Great.
much it costs. Okay,
Good.
thank
Thanks
you.
very much.
Okay. If anybody else has any new information, otherwise I'd like to reserve everything for the public hearing. I'll have one more person if somebody wants to speak. No? Okay, that's great. Like I said, the public hearing will be November 13th at the rec center. We're going to have the first one here. First one will be about Essex Green on the Douglas. That'll be hearing. And then we'll continue with the hearing. Everybody will be heard. Everybody will get a chance to talk. If it goes late, we will put it over, continue over till December. And the board never meets in December. I'm going to ask the board members to do that so we don't have any issues with this January stop clock. Okay? Yes.
Make a motion to schedule it.
Make a motion to what?
To schedule the public.
The schedule, oh, okay. I make a motion, can I get a motion to schedule a public hearing for November 13th?
Also move. I'll make the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. It's all set, public hearing for November 13th.
That's 7:30 again, correct?
7:30, but it's going to be at, like I said, it's going to be at the
Rec Center.
rec center, okay? And I'm going to ask town if they, it's going to be, basically, I figure out it's going to be 14 people. There's going to be 2 boards. It's going to be there. So if they could set up the chairs and say, Mr. Shea, you know what I'm trying to say, to try maybe set up a kind of a semicircle type of thing. Okay, that's it.
New furniture, you're gonna love it.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Thank you very much. I'll make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
Okay, that's it, thank you.